And a big welcome from Outon Pk in Cheshire. It's absolutely glorious circuit set in the parkland of the Old Hall. This the 7th round of the MRO T3 Challenge, and a bit of a 600 fest this weekend. We start with the Dynapro Supersport 600s, and that will be followed by action from the Pirelli Metzler Stock Sport 600s. As near as you like, straight out the showroom production models. And then, a bit of a star attraction, the triumphs of the Triumph Triple Challenge. Great inaugural year last year, and been followed by excellent racing once again this year. But down on the grid, we have the first of the Dynapro Supersport 600 races, and on pole position, Rob Hoyles from Karen Hankin. Karen, first time we've seen him this year. Then Billy Mellor, and alongside Billy Mellor, Ben Lightower. That's your front row. Second row is David Jones on the Triumph, Richard Marchant, Max Hunt, and Mike Edwards. But lights go out and away they go, and it's the first drag race down into Old Hall, and Karen Hankin looks as though he's just nabbed the lead on for the very first time, just watching everyone safely through the corner there. Yes, it is Karen as he runs down through Cascades, and Rob Hoyles sticking with him like glue as they run down towards Ireland Bend. They go out along Lakeside, then that left-hand corner there, and then the approach into this amazing dished hairpin at Shell. Once again, the whole field streaming through there. Look at this glorious sight, the lake in the background. They then run up the steep hill towards Mountain Top, but there's a chicane in there. Britain chicane first, then over the top and down into the Hislop chicane, named of course for the late Steve Hislop. And this an all-action area as far as told you, as far as Outon Pk's concerned. A lot of guys out breaking themselves there. They come down the hill very hot, and they've got that safety runoff bit there, the old circuit at Knickerbrook, but they're not allowed to gain any advantage from that. Rob Hoyles gained the advantage back at the Shell hairpin, and here he is coming down into Lodge from Druids up the front. Karen Hankin still hanging on there a second, just ahead of Ben Lightower, as we watch the pack running down the steep drop into Deer Leap, then up again over the bump to complete the lap. And now we see exiting Old Hall, Ben Lightower just nipping by up into second. Billy Mellor there in fourth, and he's all over the case of Karen Hankin. So that leading four, a little bit of a break ahead of the field. Rob Hoyles really seems to have it nailed today. Karen Hankin running a little wide through Shell. That'll give great encouragement to Billy Mellor. Chase Collier up the hill there, and there, look, Casper Tam, Andy Marriott and Colin Stevenson working their way around the hairpin and then up over the top of the hill. Meanwhile, up front, the leaders down there, and there's the chase behind, being led by number 3. That's Mark Kringle. Mark, one of our riders this year over from the Isle of Man, and absolutely loving the hills, the curves of Outon Pk. Oh dear, another rider out breaking themselves there at Knickerbrook. And as the leaders come down towards Lodge, and we see behind Mark Kringle, Cy Langford. Cy, well, he's carrying the number 7 unusually this weekend, and that is because number 7 is the number that's been campaigned all season by Max Exton. Max, who's recovering, and it's going to be a bit of a long recovery, but he's recovering in hospital after a nasty accident a couple of weeks ago. And Cy Langford sporting the number 7 in an attempt to just cheer Max up a bit. A lot of people doing a lot of that on Max's behalf. There's Cy on the number 7, leading Clubman Cup runner at the moment, but under pressure. We can see in that little group there Max Hunt, who is second in the rookie 600 championship this year. And there's Sarah Jordan making her way up out of Shell once again. But Rob Hoyles, fantastic run at the front. Ben Lightower hanging on to second, but under pressure now as Billy Mellor just ducks down the inside, and he will now move up into second place. Down Deer Leap he goes, and Ben Lightower trying to recover and get him around the outside. Well, he's And look behind as well, there's Mark Kringle. He's squeezed up ahead of Karen Hankin. There they go down into Old Hall, this double Apex right-hander. And then down the avenue, well, it used to be the avenue, it used to be trees growing right up against the edge of the track. And, well, Mark Kringle in a good third place. They come down through Cascades and run out towards Ireland. And red lights, red flags, medical car. Well, the action called to a halt there. And off down at Cascades. And the overall result then, a win for Rob Oils from Billy Mellor. Ben Lighthowler was third, ahead of Mark Kringle. Karen Hankin was fifth, and David Jones in sixth place. There we see a very happy Rob Oils indeed, with Billy Mellor and Ben Lighthowler. And then in the Clubman's Cup, well, the race winner there was young Max Hunt, receiving the congratulations from Cy Langford and Ben Cater. That's the 1, 2, 3 in the Clubman's. And now the Pirelli Metzler Stock Sport 600s, and a brilliant qualifying saw Nick Clark on pole from Ashley Chivers. Actually having a quick glimmer over there. Ben Lighthowler was third in the standings, and Pat Sheridan, surprisingly for some, many think he's the quickest rider out there, but only fourth on the grid. Second row, Tom Gazzard, Grant Whittaker, Danny Hedger and Dan Fowler. But red lights out and away they stream, and it's a good start there from Ben Lighthowler. Third on the grid, but charging down into Old Hall and off down the avenue with Grant Whittaker up and doing an amazing second place, and Pat Sheridan challenging around the outside of Cascades. Tom Gazzard tucked in there in fourth place. Again, they stream out along Lakeside towards Ireland, and there, well, at the moment, a little bit of a gap. Ben Lighthowler leads, and Pat Sheridan just ducks underneath Grant Whittaker there. Tom Gazzard hugging the inside at Shell as well. Now it's the sharp run up to the Britain chicane and then over Hilltop and down into his lock. Lighthowler and Sheridan gone through. There's Grant Whittaker, Tom Gazzard, Ashley Chivers. Then Ben Grindred ahead of Paul Hinchcliffe, number 52 there. We see somebody else out breaking themselves mightily and wandering off down the runoff area. Knickerbrook and regaining. As we mentioned earlier, you cannot take advantage of that. And look at this, the leaders over the lumps and bumps coming down from Druids into Lodge, and Tom Gazzard going to the inside of Grant Whittaker. There we see Nick Clark recovering after that, a really dreadful first lap, considering he started on pole, just trying to run around the outside of Paul Hinchcliffe there. But, down into Old Hall, leaders already through and running down the avenue towards Cascades. And Ben Lighthowler having an excellent race. Pat Sheridan, well, qualified fourth, but he's out there trying desperately to do something about the lead. But look at this, what a recovery from Nick Clark. You saw how far back he was down the field, but he's worked his way up into fourth, and he's absolutely flying at the moment. Fastest man out there. And there he is, he's up into third. He's got ahead of Grant Whittaker. Then Tom Gazzard still tucked in behind. Tom, who's spends most of his season at the moment serving abroad. He's in the RAF and not able to take in a full season's rating, but it's always good to see him back in this country. And he rides with the RAF Wrangle. There he is, number 87. And he's being pursued by Conor Bean. Used to see him as a super team, but this is his first ride on a 600. He's being pursued by Ashley Chivers and Danny Hedger. And meanwhile, further back, Stuart Parsons chasing Matt Brown down Deers Leap. And up across the grid to complete another lap. Meanwhile, out the front, look at this, Pat Sheridan closing on Ben Lighthowler. He's going to look up the inside at Shell, and he's going to make it work, but he drifts a little wide on the exit. And Ben says, sorry, mate, here I come. Now, this great battle just behind that leading group. Dan Fowler there, ahead of Ben Grindred. Once again, running up from Shell now. Over Hilltop, here they come. Ben Lighthowler, Pat Sheridan, but look at the gap. There was quite a gap behind them, and it shrunk considerably. Nick Clark is absolutely flying. Well, having set a wonderful pole time, here's the battle. Grant Whittaker ahead of Conor Bean now, and Tom Gazzard, Danny Hedger tucked in behind. This absolutely brilliant stuff. This, the second group, but out the front, the battle for the lead, and it's down to two, and there's a cloud of dust, and that means, well, who have we got? It's Pat Sheridan that's disappeared. Nick Clark just slips Up the inside at Lodge, Ben Lightower loses the company of Pat Sheridan. There we can see Pat walking safely away in the background, but that means that this wonderful battle is now a battle for the third podium place, and it's being headed at the moment by, well, Grant Whittaker and Connor Bean right on his case, running down towards Old Hall Corner. And still under pressure from Ashley Chivers and Danny Hedger. Dan Fowler here, they come down to Cascades. Grant Whittaker running a little wide there, and Connor Bean showing great interest about running up the inside towards Ireland. But look at this, the leaders, Nick Clark, stonking race, but Ben Lightower not prepared to give it up yet. Here he is, runs a little high and wide around Shell. That's enough for Nick Clark, just nicks back to the front. And here, Grant Whittaker absolutely determined to stay ahead of Connor Bean. Goodness me, Danny Hedger just getting unshipped there, but he stays on board. Whoa, Danny, big moment at Shell as the leaders come down once again from Hilltop, and oh goodness me, Nick Clark, well, he was just too late on the brakes there, but Ben Lightower had to go across the grass to avoid him, neither of them taking the chicane, both glaring at each other there. But well, there's Colin Stevenson, he's further back down the order, he'll have no idea about the stuff that's going on up the front. Here we are, once again, well, the last lap flag has been shown, it's all down to the checkered flag. Now, side by side, Ben Lightower, number 5, 25, taking the lead is Nick Clark, and he tucks it under there, and Druids, and away it goes, and oh dear, sick as a dog. And the foot out, acknowledging the flag. Ben Lightower takes a superb win. Well, there we see Nick Clark giving it 101%, and it's just the 1% that tucks that front wheel away, and over he goes. Well, a wonderful press-on ride, but the win to Ben Lightower. A great second to Grant Whittaker, ahead of Connor Bean. Connor's first 600 race, great stuff. Ahead of Ashley Chivers, Dan Fowler and Danny Hedger. And there we see a very happy Ben Lightower, and with him Grant Whittaker and Connor Bean.
It's my first time on a 600, so I've been looking forward to riding one. I'm on the podium. It's unbelievable, really. I went for second place on the last lap, but unfortunately someone come off on the search yellow flag, so I couldn't pass. But yeah, I'm happy with it anyway. I didn't expect this.
Grant, it seems to have taken you a little while to get used to this 600 after the Super Teams last year. Finally starting to come good for you.
Yeah, I've just been progressively getting better, and just every time I go on the bike I just learn different things.
That was alright, we got a good start there and managed to get away at the front and just tried to keep my head down for a few laps. Pat came past me down at Shell Oils, managed to get back underneath him again, and then I'm told he went down at Druids, so I hope he's alright, but it's made the championship nice and interesting. I came in 44 points behind and now I'm 19, so...
Well, that overall podium, also the leading 3 junior stock sports. Now for the senior class, the winner was Dan Fowler from Colin Stevenson and Paul Hinchcliffe.
I had a good start, but then I just got beat up in the first couple of laps because I haven't really been racing much this year, and just a bit of confidence. Then once I got past a few people, got going, and my lap times come down. But hopefully the next one I should be sort of like up there.
Well, we'll look forward to that later, but next up, after the break, the Triumph Triple Challenge. Well, welcome back to Outon Park for the 7th round of the MRO T3 Challenge, and it is the T3's Triumph Triple Challenge. Up next, Mark Cheetham on pole position from Lance Carey, and Mark Kringle and David Jones completing that front row. We'll have a look back at the second row. Qualifying 8th fastest, Tom Fisher. Good performance from Tom to be alongside Reece Rothwell, Scott Rowbottom and Tim Venables. We can see Josh Wainwright and Toby Glenn there tucked in behind on the third row, but no more time as the red lights go out and away for the first of their couple of races that we're going to pick up. And it's a great start from Mark Kringle. And then we see Scott Rowbottom getting up ahead of Lance Carey. We're on board with the Ariston camera on David Jones's machine, and we're running down towards Cascades. David in 5th place and looking round left and right round Lance to see if he can get up to 4th. We've got the run along Lakeside towards Island Bend, and well, have we got enough? Not quite. Lance Carey just chopping across our nose, and meanwhile at the front, Mark Cheetham, something of a local rider from Chorley, not far down the road, gets up ahead of Mark Kringle. And there we see Paul Hughes through Shell chasing hard after Jack Sim. Jack, his wife, gave birth to a baby just a couple of nights ago. So, the sleepless nights begin. Mark Cheetham then, with Mark Kringle right behind him. Scott Rowbottom with the blue wheels in 3rd place. Then Lance Carey still ahead of David Jones as they... one running across the grass there, but staying on board. And that'll cost him nothing but half a dozen places in a bit of time. That's Richard Green, I think, just regaining his position there. But up the front, it's all about the two Marks. And Mark Cheetham it is ahead of Mark Kringle. Lance Carey shaping to run up the inside as they go into Lodge there. Lance Carey can't quite make it. And there's Josh Wainwright making good progress further back. You see Ralph Turco in the mix. There's Ralph just running across the grid there. And Jack Sim, the new dad, leading the TGG Cup for the over 25-year-olds coming into this weekend. And there once more on board with David Jones. Lovely to have this Ariston camera. And good idea, he's still running in 5th place. There's the two Marks, Scott Rowbottom and Lance Carey ahead. And there we see Lance sitting up for the hairpin. David Jones and Reece Rothwell tucked in behind, and just behind Reece there, the yellow helmeted, red leathered Tim Venables. Paul Hughes once again around Shell, and the leaders down into the chicane. There's David Jones on our camera bike, and there on cue, lovely shot of Lance Carey switching left and right and then chasing up Clay Hill under the bridge past the old water tower on the right, and then setting it up for Druids here at Outon as well as at Brands Hatch, of course. And then the blast down this series of, well, it's not that they're bumps, they're more lumps, over this little hilly, there you see a sort of corrugated effect as they run down into Lodge Corner. And there David Jones in 5th running down through Deer Leap, and Lance Carey up alongside and indeed just ahead of Scott Rowbottom. Scotty coming back at him as they cross the line, and from the Ariston on board of David Jones we see Scott Rowbottom retake 3rd place. So we, along with David, chasing down the avenue into Cascades. Ooh, I thought we were going to line up for the inside there. Let's have a look around the outside instead. Can't quite find a way through Lance Carey. There's the two Marks up the front. Scott Rowbottom back into 3rd. Lance Carey there in 4th, having tasted 3rd for about 10 metres. And heavy braking into Shell. And of course, just behind David Jones, you can see now that Tim Venables has got up ahead of Reece Rothwell. And they're over Hilltop. They come plunging down towards Knickerbrook and the Hislop chicane. And there, Josh Wainwright, having broken away from the pack behind, being led by Ralph Turco. Ralph on the number 46 machine there is the second of the TGG Cup runners. Of course, the overall leader at the moment, Mark Cheetham, of the TGG Cup in this race. And there we see Andy Marriott being chased hard by James Stone, but Paul Hughes sandwiched in between them as the leaders come down towards us. Mark Cheetham, Mark Kringle, and once more Ariston on board with David Jones. Oh, look at this. And Lance Carey getting a real run on Scott Rowbottom, but Scott's going to try and fend him off as they cross the start-finish line. We've got a grandstand view of this. Maybe we can sneak up the middle. No, we can't. Scotty resumes his third place, and Lance trying absolutely everywhere, but can't find a way past him. And side by side they are down to Cascades, and whoa, give it the gun. Come on, David. And us. Here we go, down inside of Cascades. We are up into fourth. And yes, we are, and chasing hard now after Scott Rowbottom. And I think I'm working the accelerator and Dave Jones doing the brakes. Here we come, down towards Ireland. And there's the two marks. But where's us? There we are, in fourth place, number 89. And look at this, Tim Venables just slipping underneath Lance Carey there as well. So Lance losing out a couple of spots. Reece Rothwell on the back of that group. And there we see the turkey, Ralph Laturco, just being outdone by Shane Parsons there. This is Shane's best run of the season. He's going like a train. The Shane train. And there we see David Jones putting Scott Rowbottom under pressure, but Scott's equal to it. So David Jones and us settling back there and running through the... Goodness me, that's Reece Rothwell and Lance Carey. Well, they're both going to lose out in terms of time and position there as the leader once more coming down from Druids towards Lodge, and this looking very comfortable at the moment for Mark Cheetham. It's less comfortable behind. Mark Kringle under big pressure. Scott Rowbottom right on his rear tyre, and David Jones getting his face in there as well. Great race from Jones. Last that flag is held aloft by Lindsay on the start line. Two marks have gone through there. Scott Rowbottom, David Jones into Old Hall. Now, come on, we're on board. See if we can give it the gun. Well, sorry about this, Scott, but we're on board. Come on! Coming down towards Cascades, but Scott Rowbottom, lovely line through there. The Michelin Young Gunner already taken wins this season at David Jones. Well, he'd love to get on this podium. Have we got the run up the inside? I think Scotty will be right with us. There he is, just chopping across our bows as we run down through Ireland into Shell. Mark Cheetham already through. There's Mark Kringle in second. Scott Rowbottom and David Jones, this leading four, breaking away from the pack. Half a lap to go. And there's Shane Pearson being chased hard by Tom Fisher ahead of Ralph Laturco. And then we see Toby Glenn and Ben Cater. Great scraps going on all the way down the field in this Triumph Triple Challenge race, but up the front there, a little bit of an advantage from Mark Cheetham. Absolutely nothing in it behind us. Scott Rowbottom nips up into second ahead of Mark Kringle. Davy Jones gets his face in there as well. This one will run to the flag. Second, third and fourth. And here, the battle as we see Toby Glenn there just nipping past Ralph Laturco. But Ralph still second of the TGG Cup runners. Under pressure from Ben Cater, in fact, as he runs up the hill. So he could lose that position. Leaders down towards us once again for the last time, and it is Mark Cheetham now. Scott Rowbottom just hanging on there on the inside of Druids from Mark Kringle. David Jones with him to the flag, but there, the win to Mark Cheetham. Scott Rowbottom will love every inch of that. Fantastic stuff to the end of this race there. Tim Venables crossing the line in sixth. And, well, let's see the end of this scrap. Toby Glenn looks as though he might pick up another place before the flag. He's just squeezed out as they run through, dearly. And there, the new dad, Jack Sim. Nearly didn't think he'd make this weekend, but he got permission from his wife to come and play. But Jack further back down the field as Mark Cheetham takes the win from Mark Kringle. Scott Rowbottom finished third ahead of us and David Jones. Josh Wainwright was fifth, and Reece Rothwell rounding out top six. And there, Mark Cheetham from Chorley, not far down the road from Oulton Park, taking a dominant win in the TGG Cup from Ralph Laturco. Ben Cater third, Jack Sim fourth, Paul Hughes fifth, and Richard Green in sixth place. Very happy chappy, Mark Cheetham, with Ralph Laturco and Ben Cater